had they asked me a few minutes before that happened to me, oh, how do you feel? I would have said, just like right now, I feel fine. It was December 1st, 2017, 60 degrees, yay, I'm gonna go home and just do a little jog. I stopped for a moment to call my son. It wasn't a very long conversation. It was seconds, maybe 30 seconds, because at that point I just said, you know what? I don't feel right. And that was it. That's the last I remember. Apparently, I had a SCAD. I went into cardiac arrest. I collapsed. My son was not that far away. He was only probably about a block or two away from where I collapsed. So from what he tells me is he's walking, then he sees a few people. He sees somebody on the ground, and then as he got closer, then he was shocked, and he was just like, that's my mother. This one guy who worked for AT&T said he saw me laying there. I think at that point my son was there, because he says that this person felt for a pulse, and then he just goes, oh boy. And that's when he went into CPR mode. And he just started doing CPR. At that point, another person comes by, and he's a high school senior who's in like EMT classes. And so then he starts doing the mouth-to-mouth. Another individual steps by, a female who happens to be a nurse, and then she helps with the CPR, with the chest compressions. And then the ambulance comes. They defibrillated me once on the field and another in the ambulance, and rushed me over to the hospital, which wasn't too far from there. And then, from what I'm told, then they did an angiogram, and then that's when they didn't know. They just knew she had some kind of heart attack and obviously cardiac arrest. And so we didn't know about the SCAD until, well, it was always a probable possibility. It wasn't confirmed until much later when I got a second opinion. There was no medical issue, so that's why when they even informed my family, my friends, they were all shocked, because they were like, no, Sonia, no, I think you're talking about somebody else, no, not her. So it was a shock. When I first met with the cardiologist at the first hospital, I was, just scared, and I was like, I don't understand. So was it this SCAD that you're talking about? They're like, well, it's probable, perhaps. You can ask me 100 times, and we're never really going to give you an answer. We really don't know. I wasn't so happy with that response. That cardiologist wasn't very, caring. I mean, it's not like I had a history of heart disease and I'm just going for another typical follow-up appointment. This was the first time. It was scary. They did the typical heart attack protocol, I believe. They put me on statins right away, and in the hospital, I think they were really giving me a very high dose of statins. Never had cholesterol issues. As a matter of fact, it was on the lower, not like low, but it was normal low. They put me on the blood pressure or medication, which was fine. They put me on a blood thinner. I did not get a stent. They did try to put a stent. They were unable to. They said it was very narrow and it was way at the tip. So they end up just ballooning it, and that kept the artery open. And then they put me on aspirin. So with those medications, I was not feeling very well. With the cholesterol medication, I was getting muscle aches. With the other medication, I was feeling very dizzy with that blood pressure medication. So, and a lot of bruising all over my body with the blood thinner. So then I'm like, I need to get answers. And when I went into the support group of SCAD survivor, then I found out about Mayo, clinic. So I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And that's when I got my second opinion, and it was confirmed. And I was taken off the statin because my cholesterol level was actually like the opposite. It was super low. And she took me off the blood thinner because I didn't have a stent, and I just didn't need it. In the first place where I went to, I think they were just treating me just like what they knew. Okay, she had a heart attack, she had a cardiac arrest. We're not looking at her age. We're not looking at that she's fit. We're not looking at that she doesn't really have cholesterol issues. They should have, you know, they could have seen my blood level. She came in, okay, that was all fine, but they didn't. They were just going with what they have done in the past. So my thing is, had they been more educated on SCAD, more information, then when I came in and they see my demographics, you know, then they're like, wait a minute, we should treat her, maybe look at something different. Then I went through cardiac rehab at that same hospital. My first reaction when I walked in and I see all these elderly people, I mean, I almost wanted to cry because I was like, I said, I don't belong here. That was my first reaction. And then they were very nice. I mean, the cardiac people, they were very nice. The nurse comes and says, trust me, you're not the youngest. There's been other people with heart attacks. But as far as SCAD, I think they mentioned that there had been one before, a couple years. So it's not something that they were very familiar. Their program was not really, their cardiac rehab program was not really geared toward someone like myself. They did say this is very rare. More than likely this will never happen again, and it's just kind of like let it go like it didn't happen. But that's when I was in the hospital, and maybe even after my first follow-up visit. But I had done some research, and after I found out that it was SCAD, I'm like, no, I think I need to have more information than what they're telling me. I mean, I have to give them credit for saving my life. I think it was several people that were involved in that. The initial responders, which were just the 3 Good Samaritans, excuse me, who stopped to help me. Actually, without them, I probably wouldn't be here to begin with. And then the paramedics who came quickly, and that hospital was just the nearest hospital. My son has been affected since he was the one who was the first one to find me. It's been very difficult for him emotionally. He was 16, he's 18 now, and then now the whole, you know, even college, I mean, it all actually affects, because he's just, every day, he's just scared that I might not be awake. And he just shared this to me just the other day, and I didn't even know that. It's like, seriously, you believe this? He's like, yes, every day in the morning, I just hope that when I open the bedroom door that you're alive. So after the SCAD, I have stopped my running. I used to do races, and I have not done any race since. I've done these skedaddles, but I walk them. I have started to do like run, walk, but I haven't gone back to like the forest preserves by myself. I mean, so it has changed. I mean, it changes your life. You try not for it not to, but it does, and emotionally as well.